Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 14th installment of our Acadiana Business Resource Webinar Series. My name is Andre Bro, and I work on the team at One Acadiana. And our Acadiana Business Resource Webinars are brought to you by business resource partners from across the Acadiana region, including One Acadiana, LIDA, Opportunity Machine, the Louisiana Small Business Development Center at UL Lafayette, Acadiana Workforce Solutions, United Way of Acadiana, Downtown Development Authority, and other local chambers and economic development offices in all 9 of our parishes. We've come together on this webinar series to support Acadiana's business community, particularly our small businesses, in response to COVID-19 by hosting this series of webinars on timely and relevant topics. And today's webinar, which is the 14th in the series, is on using Shopify to launch your e-commerce business. After the presentation, we'll have time for Q&A, but please enter your questions as you have them. Submit them through Zoom's Q&A feature. In the webinar settings that we're using today, you won't have the ability to turn on your video, but we'll interject as you have questions that are timely so that we can bring those to our presenters' attention as they're timely and relevant. So please do engage through the Q&A feature. We'll get to your questions as you have them and have more time for questions at the end of the presentation. Now I'm going to hand it off to my colleague, Rebecca Shirley, to say a little bit more about our topic and our presenter.
Good morning, everyone. Glad you could join us. I came across an article as I was just looking for things about, what is the importance and why is it so important to have an online presence? And it was interesting to me that I found an article and it talked about easier. Easier just seemed to be the word they kept saying. Easier for customers to find you. Easier for you to let people know about your products and services. So we hope that this morning the information, the expertise that's presented to you will somehow make, whether it's a transition to e-commerce or whether it is you already have a presence and how can you expand that somehow that will be easier for you. Our presenter this morning is Orhan McMillan with Designs Interactive. Orhan, we're very happy that you could join us this morning. Good morning and welcome, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you so much, Rebecca and Andre, and welcome everybody. Looking forward to spending some time together today to go through this amazing opportunity that has been made available to us through Louisiana Economic Development in partnership with Shopify, so that we can bring more e-commerce access to our businesses, to our customers, and such as that. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. I'm very excited. Again, I'm very appreciative of being able to do this. My name is Orhan McMillan, and I am managing partner of Designs Interactive. It's a web development marketing company that has served South Louisiana for 20 years. This was my 20th year in business. And if anyone would have asked me whenever I was planning my 20-year celebration in January, none of this was ever on the radar. No COVID-19, no sheltering in place, no Shopify LED, definitely no Hurricane Laura. So needless to say, what a year. So we'll just leave it at that. But I am looking forward today to spending some time with this and using this portal that has been made available and walking through that. So what it is that, again, Louisiana Economic Development had already, from what I understand, already began to look at ways of bringing commerce and e-commerce to their businesses, because that's one way of increasing economic development and jobs and everything else, and jobs creation and revenue for the state and for individual businesses is online commerce. And, as you'll see today, as I go through it, it's the portal is easy, but there's a lot to e-commerce. And so that's one of the reasons that One Acadiana asked me to come in and kind of walk through this from more of my perspective as a e-commerce web development company, as to be able to give some other things outside of the robust platform that they've done. So I'm actually just gonna, and like they said, please interrupt. I really do, when I do these, I really prefer questions to come in at the moment you have them. Don't wait till the end, because a lot of times, a couple things that are going on Other people have the same questions that may not feel the need to ask them or want to ask them, but there's also a relevancy in asking in that moment, where if we wait to the end and then try to go back, it loses a lot of the momentum and stuff. So feel free, this is for you. There's a lot of stuff in this, and we're gonna get started. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop my video to save a little bit of bandwidth here. And then I'm going to share my screen, which is this. And we are going to actually, this is the actual website. So this is an actual, the LED website here. I'm live. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually walk through this as if it was you and me doing this for the first time. I'm going to create my own business and walk through that. I also have some slides that will be coming to you that kind of mirror the high points of this. And so just know those are coming. As Rebecca and Andre said, they're recording this so that you'll have access to come back to this recording. So at this point, what I always recommend is just kind of sit back, absorb all of the information, come at it from like a overview perspective, knowing that later on between the slides and the recording, you'll be able to go back in and get some of the granular details. But for right now, let's just kind of go through the process. So to begin with, you go to lasmallbizonline.com, and then that brings you to this landing page here. Now, the way they've done it is they have made it so that if you're an existing e-commerce person, if you have online sales already, you would go to this portal. But if you're new to e-commerce, then you would go to this portal here. And for the sake of today, we're just going to assume that no one has e-commerce, and we're going to start with this. So we're just going, here we go, let's do it. All right, so it brings us to a landing page here. And then, oh, I know, one thing I want to go to back, and they really did do a good job on this website. They really did, because on their homepage, which is where you will always be logging in from, there is the listing of upcoming webinars that LED puts on for helping small businesses. So this is a great one. It talks about strategies for brick and mortar retailers coming every day at 5 p.m. So it's not just this. And so this is a great website portal to use. And another thing I'll say is that the support, training, tutorial video things that they have created are really good. There's a lot of stuff on the website itself. There's getting started, which is just kind of some general information, how to start an online store, guide to getting started online. And then it gets into more detail. How do I add products? Setting up an Instagram channel. How do I manage inventory with catalogs? Ultimate guide to product photography. And here we go even more. How to list, how do you tie in your Shopify account to Amazon? How does shipping work? So as you see, how to create a shipping level. So again, they've done a really great job of pulling together some very handy and useful resources that that you will be needing. So let's go ahead and start setup. Let's get started. All right. So the first thing now you've seen we've gone from LED to the Shopify landing page, and so we're just going to enter our email address. And we're going to start a free trial. And we're going to create a password. Fingers are. And so I'm an amateur, and I strongly capitalize all of those letters in that word, amateur. Beekeeper. So we're gonna do a bee store today, like honeybees, like honeybee hives. So we're gonna do O's, the OBs. That's what we're calling it. OBs. OBs online. That's what we're gonna call it. Now let me give you a little tip here. That's not a good name for a business, actually, because what you want it to be is you want it to have some keyword relevance as to what you're doing. So let me use my own advice. Honeybee farms. Let's do that. So honeybee, something of that nature. So when you name your store, give it something obviously either related to your business name, your company name, or what the products or services that you're selling. All right. Okay. Let's change email. I've done this once before. Let me make up a different email address. Let's go back here. Let's start here. I'm gonna use a separate email address. I've done this a presentation a few times, and I might have utilized all of my personal email addresses. Okay, there we go. And we're gonna call it O honeybee. All right, so we are now in the process of doing this. And so as we're going through some of this stuff, I'm going to give some information as it relates to more traditional e-commerce development and how the Shopify platform has really made this easy. And if you notice, check it out. They have gone in and created a domain name that is mybusiness.myshopify.com. And so that will be your web address. And so it's amazing how quickly in my world, it takes a few more steps to do that. So am I already selling? I'm not selling, yes, I am selling, just not online. How do you want to sell? I want to do both online and in person. Where will I sell in? Let's do markets and fairs, and then in brick and mortar stores. So, well, let's not get all that detail. But yes, answer those according. What is your current revenue? Well, let's, I made $10 off of a sale of honey like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So let's say that, operating in, and this would be, let's see, other food and drink. Are you setting up a store for a client? Nope. All right. All right, so let's add this. So we'll add Paul Millen, and then we'll make 302. This address here, 225. Let's if you're business, if you're a registered business, then this store is a registered business. Let's just say that we're not for this one. But this will give your physical address here, where you're located, the phone number associated with your business, that, you know, with all websites, that you have your contact information on. All righty, so this is the dashboard. So let's take a few minutes to look around this area here. So this is your main place that you will log in. When you log in every time, this is kind of where you'll start. And so we'll go through a couple features of this area here. Obviously, here's your back end. Here's your business name. This is where your account settings are. You know, a lot of these are very intuitive. Your account, help center, etc. And then these are your main tabs that we will be going through in order to build the website. But even after you've started, you have your orders section. And so this is where you're able to go in, and when you have orders that you can look at, this is where we will begin looking at the products that are in your inventory that you're selling. This is after people start purchasing from you. This is where you'll be able to manage your customer database. Analytics, we'll get into that a little bit. This is where we look at total sales, sessions, total orders, all of those things that come along with having a website. There's what landing pages do they go through? What sales by social source do they come through, social media, etc. You'll be able to run reports as well. And then there's a marketing tab here, which is really grateful and really great. And they've got a lot of apps that you can tie into. We'll touch base on that a little bit. And then there's some, if you offer discount codes or promotions, if you want to offer those on your website, this is how you do that. And then a few other things.
Orhan, we had a couple questions come in about the business name or the domain name.
Perfect.
So Lori asked if she has a domain, would she enter it if it's not a Shopify domain?
If I'm understanding correctly, is Lori, are you saying that you already have a website domain?
And Lori, I'm going to go ahead and allow you to speak. So if you want to chime in, you'll have to unmute yourself, but you should be able to speak now if you
Okay,
want.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I've secured a domain name, and after I did that, I did look back at Shopify to see if there was a way to link it, and they said that they did, but I saw on the previous screen where you were entering everything, the very last box said business or personal website, and it was optional. Is that where it would link to? And if you don't know the answer, that's okay. It was at that point that it prompted me to ask.
Actually, good question. It won't link there. What you'll do is, so let's say you bought your domain name through GoDaddy. That's a popular domain registrar.
Yes, that's what I did.
And what you do is, once you have that, and once you have your Shopify account set up, you'll do either a redirect, or I know that Shopify's got it somewhere where you can have it, and it gets into DNS pointers, domain name server pointers. You're going to change your DNS pointers to Shopify's pointers, and then therefore they can go to yourcompany.com and not have to go through the My Shopify extension.
Great.
And yes, it can be done.
Thank you.
And one
And I
more.
would encourage that. I mean, if you don't already have a business, or well, either way, if you do have a business and you want to link it to the Shopify platform, great. But if you don't already have a domain name registered and you want to use that, so if I want to do honeybeefarm.com instead of the My Shopify, I can do that as well. Good question. Thank you for that. And Andre, you said there are a few more?
Yeah, one more from Deborah. So she asked, should the online name tie into our existing brick and mortar retail store name, or is it completely separate and just something catchy for online?
Good question, Deborah. Do what you, there's no rule, there's no win or lose in it. A lot of times, if the online, if the brick and mortar retail store, if that domain name, if those words that are your name are available, it's a lot easier for customers to remember. So that's what you really want to think about. What is the easiest way for your customers to say, oh, look, there's a store there on the corner. There's Honeybee Farm. There's a retail location. Let me just type that in the Google search. So the more parallel they are with each other, it's easier for people to find.
And that was it.
All right, great. Good questions. And I'm glad people are asking. It's so great when people ask questions. All right, so what we're gonna do here is, let's see, we're gonna get started with, let's see, which area do we wanna go? There's so many different ways of kind of going into it. I think what we'll do is, first of all, let's go ahead and look at the online store. So one of the things, and I'm gonna do I do this a little bit differently. One of the things I encourage is, let's go ahead and get your theme set up. So whatever that template, a lot of people know the words templates, whatever that is that you want your website to look like. So if you go to the online store tab, they have themes. So let's click on that. So they have they have themes that come along. They have free themes, and then they have the store. So if let's just glance at this real quick. So these are free. You have very simple layouts. You kind of go through them. You can choose which one you like. Here is this the 6. So they have like 9, and then of course, you know, Shopify wants to make a little money, so you can go to the theme store, and then these are themes that you'll have to pay for out separate from the Shopify dashboard. They have some free ones here. See, they have some, you know, 180. These are one-time fees. So again, that's something you want to go ahead and think about early on, is what you want your website to look like. Now, I am, for the sake of this time together, I'm just going to go ahead and take the debut. They've changed it. They gave me another one. So let's go with this one. Okay, customize. All right, so then this now takes us into the actual building of the page of the website. So let's see, so we have our home page here. It's really amazing how easy they have made these, but let's see. So they have home page, and then there we go. So for the home page here, one of the things that you're going to want to think about is your color scheme, your logo, whether you're going to have your own photos on here, or are you going to have stock photos on here, etc. And so what we're going to do is I am just going to go ahead and click this. I'm going to hit save here. Boom. And then I want to also talk about pages as well. So the way it works is, like I said, they've made it really simple that you can click on these different areas. So this is the theme here. So an image with text, okay. So this area here that says image with text right here is if I wanted to, welcome to my online store. And then here's some subtext. If there was a main image, which I have gone in and selected some, so I'd say the little library of images. And so here, whatever I want my main image to be, let's go here. Let's look at this one. I'm gonna see which picture this is.
And while the picture loads, Orhan, one more question from Chris regarding the theme. Do you have the option to change your theme anytime?
There is to some degree. It will not be seamless though. So you can go in and you can kind of set up what you want for the theme. But if you go back and change themes later, there will be things that you have to go reconstruct. The good news is the most, I guess you would say, the most complicated area of any e-commerce site is the e-commerce products. Luckily, once you have the product database set up, you don't have to go re-enter that. But let's say I had a different homepage theme. I may have to go in and retype the header information, the picture that may be on this image here may be different, all of those things. So you can, but it won't be seamless. All right, so I've added a few things here. So you just kind of keep going down here, you can find the different areas of the text. And as I go to different sections, I can click on those. So basically I've added a photo, a header, and then I can keep going down here. So we're gonna come back to this in a moment. I wanna now go back to our, let's see, how do I get back here? I'm gonna go back to my dashboard. And so after I've kind of got a theme set up, I also want to think about pages. So the pages of the website are what other pages outside of the product catalog do you want? A lot of standard ones would be an about us, maybe a contact us page, our guarantee, talking about how you policy and your procedures on returning products, etc. And so a lot of times I like to just go ahead and add those. And so I can simply do this, add a page. So let's say I want an about us page. This is where I would go in and put my content for the about us page. A lot of times what I recommend is having like a Google Doc or a Word doc where I've already written all this out, spell checked it, proofed it. Me personally, the greatest invention for me was Grammarly, because it showed me how bad of a writer I was, but how I can make it look like I'm a good writer. And so I use Grammarly a lot, but I have all those things sitting on a text file. So when it comes time for me to do this, I can just go in and start building the pages. This is how the search engine preview would be. And so simply save. And now I've added a page to the website. If I go back here, I can look at the pages I have. Let's go ahead and add another one here. May want to contact us page. Okay, and then this is where we'll be able to go later on and add our address and maps and all of that information. So as you can see, it's a pretty neat little tool that they've created. And I think one other page that I would definitely want to have is our guarantee. And this is where I would put, return information, policy information if there's a defect, et cetera, whatever those terms are about your e-commerce. All right.
And
So
one
now I've got, go
sorry
ahead.
about the pages. Deborah asked, how many pages can we have?
I don't know of a limitation. I don't know, did they mark it off at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Now, again, these aren't your product pages. This is just content pages. So I don't know if there's a limit or not. So just, have fun with it. And when you do find out, let me know. And then here we go with navigation. Here we go, menu items. And then also another thing, we'll get into this, is that you can have a blog on your online store as well. Blogs we'll get into later on, but just to kind of give a quick overview, blogs are a way to just put information about what kind of work you're doing. So I would put information articles about, honeybee behavior, best times of harvesting, when to take care of your hive, where you add sugar water and things like that. That would be a consistent stream of blog articles that I could put out. That kind of falls under the marketing aspect of, with me putting out content online about honeybees, et cetera. Hopefully people will follow that trail of articles that I post out there, come to my website, and eventually buy my products. Okay. Let's go to domains here. And it's really great because you can really just kind of click these. Pardon me, I don't remember the lady's name, but here, the domain question, you can connect the existing domain to here, and you would probably click this step, follow the steps to connect it to. And if you don't have a domain name, guess what? Shopify will let you buy a domain name through their platform. All right, so now we've got some pages. We've got a little theme here going on. This is our website theme, but let's really get into, and you can spend a lot of time doing that. Trust me. I mean, there's a lot of things. You want it to look good. What I would recommend is just kind of don't overthink it in the beginning, and just go ahead and get you a layout done, get you some basic things up there, get basic content, because as you can see, you can always come back in and add pages and more content later. Your big thing that you want to get to is products, because that's what you're trying to sell there. So that's where we're going to spend more of our time here today. So step one, obviously, is to add products. So let's see what that looks like. Now, to pause on that for a minute, when it comes to e-commerce, if you think about, let me go to one of these. So Daydant is a international bee supplier. So if you think about the thousands and thousands and thousands of products that they have, so depending on where you are with your products and what you're selling and the quantity of products, there's a couple ways of doing this, and one of them is, so if you have 500 products you're selling, it may not be ideal for you to sit there and enter every single product on individually. So what they have enabled you to be able to do is you can actually use a spreadsheet to fill out the product. And I'll have a sample of one of those for you. But like this is a, let me pull this screen over here. This is an example of what a Shopify approved spreadsheet looks like, that it has the information, the titles. And so you simply work on this spreadsheet and you fill this out and import that into Shopify. So this is a much more, I guess, efficient way of doing it. And the other part of it is that the template that I'll send, or that Rebecca and Andre will send, this is one I actually pulled from Shopify's database, because not all spreadsheets are, without getting technical, every column, every row has to line up with what Shopify wants. So in other words, I don't recommend you just going to open an Excel document or a Google sheet document and start typing things, unless you're going to transfer it over into their document, because they have to connect, they have to be they have to be importable. Now, if you don't have that many products, then it's great. then you can actually go ahead and add the products here. So let's do that. Add a product. So let's go ahead and just add a single product just for the sake of. And so I think one of the things is I have is a beginner bee kit. It's kind of like what, you know, I know to be true is kind of the starter bee kit that most people need. Here's is where I would put my description about it, size, what all comes with it, etc. And then here is where I would go in and add my initial picture. There we go. There's the bee kit there. All right, then we get into the pricing. So let's look at some of this stuff. So this is the price that I want to sell it for. So let's say this is $99. Now compare at price. Let's say, you know, normally I could sell this for up to $125. And then this is for you. This is only you will see this. What does this product actually cost you? So this bee kit may only cost me as the retailer $45, but I'll sell it. So therefore my profit margin is 54%. This is how much. This is where you choose if you are taxable, you know, any kind of online tax item that we have. This is where it gets into connecting with your inventory, SKU numbers, etc. So, you know, if this most of our products, if we're doing online retail, that it would have a SKU number. Now that brings me to another point. So many times you have to have some type of a point of sale system that you would use in your store, or even, well, if you have a retail store, that you would be using for that. So a lot of times, if you're going from brick and mortar to online sales, you can check with your point of sale company. And first of all, say, hey, is there a way that the inventory software that I have in the store, that it can connect to my Shopify account? So therefore, if someone buys from you online, it immediately updates your inventory database, so you don't have to manually do that. Now, I can pretty much say confidently that Shopify on this platform here, that it's not going to be a click button connection. You may have to go into where they you can you know, contact a Shopify expert and have them help you with that process. But that is one thing to think about, is if you are a retail location and you have a software managing your inventory, then you don't want to have to double entry this. You want them to be able to connect, and I know there is a way to do that across most of them. But if you are strictly starting up online retailing, never done it before, it's fine to use Shopify as your inventory management. I want to see if anybody's got any questions on that. I'll pause for a minute, because that's an important part to talk about, is retail versus just purely online, and then how that connects with a point of sale system.
And if you have questions, you can enter them into the Q&A. And if you want to also engage in dialogue, I can, there's an option for you to be able to engage in dialogue directly. So just let me know and I can enable that.
And maybe I did better than I thought I did on that. But here's where I would keep my stock unit number 001234. I do want to be able to track quantity of this. So, you know, if I only have 10 of these, if I'm actually holding these, I have 10 available. So I want to be able to track it whenever it's whenever I'm selling it physical. And do I want to still sell it when it's out of stock? You know, is that an option too? So those are all these wonderful things to think about. Right now I'm talking about tangible products. I am going to talk about how to build the Shopify experience for service-based industries. Like, I'm a service-based industry. I don't sell you a physical product, but that doesn't mean I can't sell things to you online. So I'll come back to that one in a moment. But this is a physical product. So therefore I'm going to need to know the weight, whatever that is, you know, pounds. So let's say, just for the sake of, let's say this thing is 10.5 pounds. Is there any customs information? Country of origin. So most likely that'll be United States. The harmonized system codes, couldn't even tell you what that is, but you know, I'm sure Google could tell us if we wanted to. And then this is how the product will actually look. So there's the beginner bee kit. description here. And so I like to listen. Let me just give it a once over here. Okay. Let me save this for a moment here. All right, so we've added our first product. Now, if you can imagine doing that, 150 times, that could be a little bit arduous. And this is what I was looking for. So I have to add a product before I can get to the import tab, but this is where you can click. Once you just create one product, then you can go in and add your CSV file. And so even here, they give you a sample CSV file. Let me see, so Shopify.
And you're answering the question that came in right now, where to get Shopify spreadsheet.
Nice, good. Outside, I was going to send you one, but that's good. You have one here. It'll take it a minute to open here. Perfect. This is kind of, see, there's a lot of stuff in here, if you think about it. Now, not all of it is necessary, but this is Shopify's tool, and so this is the spreadsheet you have to use for them. So who's your vendor? What is this? They're using a shirt as an example. Height and the width, or the small size, medium size, is there, they're doing their weight in grams. A lot of this stuff, if I don't know what it is, I'm going to skip it and or copy what they have. So if it's a manual fulfillment, if you're selling this yourself, here's the price. This was the compare at price. So they're selling it for $19.99. They could sell it for $24.99. Does it require shipping? Is it taxable? The image source. Now this here is just another level of, we'll get to image position. Is there a gift card involved? The SEO title, the search engine optimization. This is where you put your words in about what you want it to be listed as the title. Let's see, and here's the description. And I'm getting the product categories. So you can see there's quite a bit of stuff in here. And so another way that you could do this too is, you can kind of trick the system. And so let's say I don't know what all that stuff is, but I do know what I just did with my first kit. So let me see. Let me export a CSV file. Okay. I'll have to check on that one. I was hoping they would do a download, but what I would do with that is I would then go to this CSV file that I just got emailed to me, that I made up an email address, so I don't have access to that email address, but I would then open that CSV file because I walk through each of these steps. I know what parts are relevant to me, and that's the areas I would focus on. But once you do that, you can go back and import the products. Now so that's a product. And I think you can even, we can edit it there. We'll go back and look in a moment on the, okay.
And you may be getting to this, Orhan, but a question about inventory. And Carrie asks, can you recommend some inventory keeping systems for the different streams of sales?
Regretfully, I can't. I don't know enough about the point of sale inventory systems to offer any educated advice on that. So I regret that I don't. But I would wonder if, a Shopify individual would be able to, and the reason I say that is I know that there's like point of sale systems for, restaurants, but then I know there's retail and things like that. And when I worked with my retail customers, there's never been, when I've done e-commerce for them, there's never been a consistent point of sale or inventory software. So I regret that I can't offer more on that. And then this is, so let's go back to here. So if you're a service-based industry, if you're not, let's say that, Honeybee Farm was an educational company where I'm teaching, I offer educational opportunities or consulting opportunities to help do this process that you do. You're still adding a product. So let's just go ahead and do this. Let's say constructing your first kit. Okay, let's say that you can hire me to come put your kits together, or set it up. We can set up first kit, something of that nature. I still have a picture, I still have a photograph. I have a price. Let's say, I don't know, pay me $50. I'll come put your honeybee thing together. What does it actually cost me? That's a whole different kind. What is your time worth an hour? We'll just say 0. You don't charge tax on that. There is no inventory. This is not a physical product. And save. So this is how, if you are in a service, well, even if you're in a service and product based, that's the differentiation between the two, are the product based, 10 in stock, and then inventory not tracked, because this is the service based. Because some of us are service based, looking to sell our services online. So, if I had packages for, let's say, digital marketing, or if I had packages for website development, like we see, I can put those things online where they can actually look at, package A, B, and C, what I get for each and the cost for each of those. Okay. Let's look at shipping and so as you kind of keep going through them all, this is my overall inventory. Let me go through some of these. Now this is, I don't have this transfer yet. So if you have inventory coming from suppliers and business locations, you can set this up, because if you have a wholesale distributor, there's ways that the wholesale distributor can connect with your e-commerce site, so that's how that's tracked. I won't get into that, because that's another larger, complicated animal outside of the realm of this, but there is a way to manage purchase orders and incoming inventory. That, like I said, they have it right here, very conveniently. You have a help center, and you can hire a Shopify expert to get into more of those deeper level things that, if you're a more complicated e-commerce business. Okay, let's see. Let's look at this one here. Let me go to, they moved a few things around. I'm looking for where I set up my, well, let's do this. I want to go to sales tax. Let's go to shipping. Well, that's great. They have a handy little toolbar. And so here is where I manage my shipping rates. I'm a big search engine. I'm a search bar person. I don't want to have to click tabs and think about that. So here we go. So I've got general shipping. So the products where it's shipped from, it's shipped to domestically, and then we're going to have to add shipping rates. So set up your own rates, which you could do that, or they have it so that you can connect to different carrier rates. So you have the three they choose from is DHL, UPS, and USPS. So let's just say I wanted to offer my stuff through USPS, and then I can, how many of these do I want to offer? Now, I don't think you want to offer all of them. Your standards are next day air, 2-day, 3-day, but then you can do this here. And so by doing this, this now will automatically connect the UPS shipping rates for that time that order's placed with the UPS database on your website. Let's see, handling fee. If you have any percentage of a handling fee, if you want to mark, basically this is, do you want to mark up the shipping fee on top of UPS? I'm not going to do that. Here's another one. So let's say I want to add, so I have UPS and USPS. So it's first class, let's do in priority. So they make it pretty good. It's real, like I said, coming from my perspective on setting this stuff up outside of a platform, it's pretty easy. If you get into worldwide shipping, you know, these are still the three. You would set that up there. But what this does, now this says, so, you know, my beginner B kit, I have 5 ways of shipping it by UPS and 3 ways of shipping it by USPS. I save this. This is now, let me see, will you be shipping regular? Okay. No, I won't be shipping regulated items and no pharmaceuticals. Yes. Okay, and this is where, if I go through this process, which I'm not, if you don't have a UPS account, this is where you're basically creating your business UPS account so that they tie in together. So I will skip that part there. But as you can see, it's really easy to set, and you're going to have to do the same thing. If I did this, I would do with the USPS. So therefore, now you have a USPS account, UPS account. They tie them together, and all of those things. So again, it's the way they've done it is just super, super easy. All righty. So now, I think one of the biggest things that we're all here for is, I'm gonna discard this because it won't let me save it without setting up the UPS account. So I think we want to figure out how to get paid, right? I mean, I think that's why we're doing this. And so let's set up Shopify payments. Okay. So the way that works is, let's go back to our dashboard. Let me see. Wait, let me look at something. The lady that asked, this is interesting for the lady that asked about point of sale inventory. Apparently Shopify, they think of everything. They have a POS app that you can look into. So that may be the one that's asking about inventory. That may be something you want to look into here and see, is it strictly for online, or is there other options there? So it's amazing what you can find whenever you are in the, when you use the search bar. So let's do set up payments. So then we want to be able to figure out how to accept the credit cards. Should be under orders. Again, they moved a few things around since the last time I was in here. There we go. So orders. Okay, this is, that's why it wasn't showing up. So these are, right now you're on a trial thing. It's I think it's, what is it, September 16th, before you have to choose a plan. And so there are 3 plan options that they have. There's $29 a month, $79, and $299. And so this is where you actually getting into the specifics. So there's different credit card rates. As you notice, it's a little bit higher on the lower end than it is on the higher end. How many staff accounts can you have? The discount availability on shipping, different locations that you can have, and the point of sale subscription. So this is where the point of sale is included in your plan. You can have an upgrade for $89 a month that there is a more. So let's choose, let's just use this. Okay, so let's do 79 every 30 days, payment method. Okay. This is where you actually set up. So, you know, one thing obviously that they're going to have is they're going to have to be able to pay you. And so I'm going to pull, this is one of the slides that you'll get from me. And so when you're setting up the payments, what you can do is obviously you will have credit card acceptance, but there's also a PayPal option. So if someone has PayPal, they can do that. So they can either use credit, debit, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and PayPal. And then what you have to do there is you have to go ahead and sign up here. But so once you pick your plan and you start the plan, and I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to enter my credit card information at this point, that all of that will be done. And then once you do that, then your payments are set up. So that way people can do that there. All right. So let's go back to the home page. So right now, let me just kind of take a pause and see what we've done. So up until now, We have set up our credit card payment gateway where people can, pay us. We have looked at how to add orders to products to the our database, both creating them manually or importing a spreadsheet. Or my tip was, because that spreadsheet looked very complicated to me, I would add a product, then go to export, and then take that spreadsheet and then mirror the information from there. And then the other part is, let's see, and we looked at our actual themes and online store and our layouts. And so we're going to come back to that in a little bit. All right, good. So, okay, let's go to the main settings tab. Okay, there's my trial here. I'm back to my home page here. This is, I'm looking for the actual settings.
Question that came in from Chris, when you were looking at the different options and where they say staff accounts, does this mean all of the staff has access to assist in the creative process of the store?
This is the different levels of access you want to grant someone. Yes, it could be for creating, or it could also be after it's up and running. So, you have different levels. There's like the administrative, which would be someone like myself. Right now, what I'm doing is administrative. I can have access to all the inventory, the database, the credit card information, the customer information, et cetera. But let's say you had a junior staff member who you didn't want to do all of that, and say you just wanted them to enter product, you could give them like an editor role or a data entry role where they don't have access to all your company information. They simply would just be adding products. Or after you're up and running, you would maybe just want to have limited access so that they can go back and look at product orders, make sure that all of those things are going well. But there is different levels. But I'm imagining what they're saying with there is how many different types of those that you could have. So that basic plan had 2, then that would be the 2 people access for, et cetera. Okay, let's see. This is where you can add, okay, here's my staff account. Wow, that's pretty cool. We didn't even think about that. So here's where I would add that person. And here's their position, their permissions, point of sale access. So what is their role? So full permissions, that's where I would say administrative limited permissions. And here's where you show them. So this is where you can get down into details about what that role of that person is. That was purely coincidental that came up when it did. Let's see, this how you, so let's go plan and permissions. Settings. Let me go back to the settings here. So the settings page that when I went up here to look up settings, I landed on this page. So again, there's different ways. Some people like left tab. Some people don't. Some people like me, I like this settings where I can actually just kind of scan through all of this and go through all these information, all the areas of it. So this was store details. Let's say plans and permissions. Let's see what locations. And again, there's a lot of information. It's going to, taking a little bit of clicking around to see what they're about. So this is my physical location. If I have multiple locations, then I would add that. This is where the payment that we looked at a moment ago, and here's the Shopify payment, and here's where I can do that. If I have an Amazon Pay account, I can activate that. My third-party provider. So this is where I would set those up. And depending on which level I entered in, the $19.99, $29, or whatever the other one was, that's where my credit card rate would be affected. If I have a PayPal account, then I would connect my PayPal account here. See, I like this. This is kind of like the way I like to set up my things, is through a settings tab. different notifications. So if you want an order confirmation, if you want to know if an order has been edited, order refund, this is where you enter all of that information like we normally do when we shop. That, you know, we get those automated emails. We let them know when it's out for delivery, it's ready for pickup, etc. So again, it's a very robust platform. And I think that's another thing, you know, that I'll get into a little bit later in the presentation, is it is overwhelming. I mean, e-commerce is not just, hey, I want to sell, you know, some items and I want to go build a website. There's a lot of areas that it takes to build it. And that's why it is expensive to do if you go to a private company to do that, because all of those things have to be, you know, kind of taken into consideration. But overall, this type of a Shopify platform is pretty user friendly in that aspect. So it's a good area there. So billing, you know, again, payment methods, your bill, this is on you. This is your billing information for you and your account. I'm going to go here. Okay, so let me go back to that spreadsheet. Let me see if I can find that spreadsheet. All right, let's go to products. There was one area that I wanted to touch that. So I'm gonna go back to this CSV template. All right, if you go over here, this in e-commerce is downright the most complicated aspect from a development standpoint. And it's the simplest thing you would think. What picture goes with what product? And with a spreadsheet, let's again, going back to, if I have 5 products, that's not a big deal. I go manually enter them. But if I am, let's say, for example, you have 1,000 products that you're selling that your vendor gave you a spreadsheet for, they're going to give you a spreadsheet and they're going to give you 1,000 pictures. There is no automated way for any e-commerce platform on the planet to automatically know what picture goes with what item. The only way that can ever be done is a manual connection. And so whenever we've built e-commerce platforms and I've priced it out and they're like, my gosh, what's taking so? I said, because I've got to go in and manually connect every picture you have to that particular product. So there's one way that they've made this a little easier is, let me go to my dashboard. Okay, so let's go back to my settings where I was there. So files, so this is in the settings file section. And so what this enables me to do is, if I have a folder that I do, like for example, that I actually have for this presentation, and it has all my pictures in there. So let's go to Shopify. Now in my case, I just picked a few, 1, 2, 3, 4. But let's say there's 1,000 images here. They're going to be named accordingly. You know, if you're going to get them from your distributor or your wholesaler, they're going to have names. What I would recommend doing is collecting those in a folder and then going here to upload files and upload. The only reason I'm not doing this is a spreadsheet, and then that's the PDF presentation for this. I would actually go upload all my images that I have. Okay. And then now here is the URL involved with that. Now there's, again, a couple ways. If you're working off of a spreadsheet, you would basically have to manually go between. Let me try to do this. I close this out. One moment here. Let me go back to my downloads. So I'm gonna try to split screen this for you. So on this spreadsheet that I'm working at, if this was, let's say this was beginner B kit, and I had all this, whether it's from my distributor, the one area that I'm gonna have to go to here is I'm gonna have to go and copy beginner B kit here. I'm gonna have to copy this URL, so I highlight it and I can, you know, right click, copy. And then I actually have to go to the spreadsheet, and I have to go over here, and I have to enter this here. So again, that is and will be and can be a complicated area in this, is getting the actual product images connected to the database. So that's one way of doing that, is importing all your images, updating your spreadsheet if you have it, then importing your spreadsheet. Now let's try something here that I haven't tried before. Let me see, is there a way? Aha. Let's say, but I'm hoping what this does is, so instead of doing this, I still have to manually do it. I was hoping they had a way that I could, yeah, they didn't do it. I was hoping they had a way that would, if I click this, that it would go to that product listing page and I could pick that image that's already been uploaded. There may be a way of doing that. And let's see. And that would take me a little bit of time to research. I hadn't thought of that before, is if I upload all 100 of my images, is there a way around me copying and pasting a URL into everyone, and I can't just go to that media folder on Shopify? I have a feeling there's got to be. There really has to be one in there, because that just doesn't make sense that I have that database sitting there and then I can't just link it to it. And so here's my inventory. What I may do is I may look into that for y'all and then send that link out. But again, you know, every time you get into this, there's a new way of thinking about, you know, what's going on with that and how that works. Okay. So let's look. So I'm gonna go back to my settings here. I'm gonna click on a couple more of these. So just general random question, is anybody not going to do e-commerce now? It's like I said, it's there's a reason not everybody does it. But again, once you do the heavy lifting in the front, once you do these things with it, it is, you know, it is a way to increase sales, especially, you know, with our, you know, unsure way of, you know, going back to commerce business and, you know, being outside and stuff like that. It is a way of getting your customers to you. And even before COVID-19, it was interesting. There was a lot of data coming out in some of the presentations that I was doing that showed that the millennial generation, they want to do, and the data was outstanding, that they want to shop local. We're all familiar with the shop local, buy local, all of that. But the kicker was they didn't always want to go to the physical location to do it. They wanted the online option. And so this is something I was studying last year in 2019, and encouraging my clients to say, hey, that's great that you're local, but there's a large part, 51% of our consumer population wants to know they're buying it 2 blocks over. They just don't want to come to you and do it. So COVID-19 and the pandemic with that only launched that reality more into place, because you couldn't go anymore. So again, the e-commerce stuff, it's a value added thing to be able to add to your company information. This here is legal pages. So these are default. You always have to have a refund, a privacy, a terms, and a shipping policy. You have to have it on every e-commerce website, no matter what you're selling. And it's consumer protection. When I don't know what to put on it, I just go Google refund policy text, and I just kind of download that and modify it. What's my privacy policy? Let's see, what does they say? Create from template. Oh, here you go. Oh, wow. God, this is just crazy how easy this is. Wow. So they have this. So in other words, you basically can use their template, go in and read it to make sure it's all valid. Look, it even plugs your email address in from your, this is crazy. This is amazing. Let's see, privacy policy. Yeah. All right, so we've just created those pages. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and create us a terms of service. Now this is, you want to, a lot of legal stuff, you want to read that, but let's say, so now we've just created our 4 required, well, shipping policy. And then with that, let's say saving, okay, X, there we go. So basically, as you go through each of these, I'm gonna go to taxes next. As you go through each of these, as you build these areas, you're building the site and you're actually completing everything that you have to do. So let's look at taxes. And so we charge tax, and then on online sales. And so this is where, as a legal business, I'm going to have to add my state sales information, whether that's my EIN number. What is it? EIN is your employee identification number, but you also have a Louisiana Department of Revenue sales tax number. That's where, once you're registered with the state, and by the way, I don't think I mentioned that before, to do the online sales, you have to be a registered business. So that may be, going to irs.gov and applying for an EIN number, going to Louisiana Secretary of State and do your business filing, whether that's going to be a sole proprietorship, LLC, all of those things. You file those things, and you have to add that into here as well in order to be able to do business online. Let's see what this does. So then this is where you actually add your state registration. Now, I'm in Louisiana, and this is where I would add, because even though I'm a service-based industry, we do sell print, we resell print material, business cards, brochures, all that stuff. So I do have to do a sales report, and this is where I would add my Louisiana ID number for my sales. And then I would automatically calculate and then start collecting sales tax. And it automatically generates it. Now, what I don't know is if I'm based in Louisiana and if someone buys products from Alabama, right? If somebody buys my products from Alabama, I don't know. Let's see. That's it. Let me see. This may have answered the question. Okay, we're not going to get into that. As you can tell, I don't like to read stuff, and so I always had somebody do that for me. But what I would want to know is, if someone buys it from me in Alabama, do I have to charge Alabama sales tax, or is that void of sales tax? I don't know exactly how that works. Okay. Let's see. So let's go back to settings. So pretty much now we have gone through all of the different areas. If you have multiple languages, everything else. So pretty much this is the overall beginning process of setting up your store. I do want to go back to it, because again, this is the products, I believe, is the one that really you want to be able to, I mean, that's what you're trying to do, is products, etc. And this is something that, so let's go back to the Daydant thing here. So I have, so categories, product categories. So there's beginner kits, Hive, etc., tools, clothing. So we have categories. I mean, if you're doing retail, you know, it's clothing, it's men's, women's, children's, you know, etc. If it's those things, so we have to be able to create the categories that our products fall into. So let's go here. So let's do beginner kits. I don't necessarily need an image for that. Oh yes. Okay. So I'm creating a collection. Manual. There we go. Okay, so that's one category. Let's go look at another one. Let's say hive accessories. Because you may want, okay, then save. So let's go back now to products, because I want to be able to have my products listed inside of those categories, into those collections. Okay. So this is where, so let's say that this product here only goes into one category that I've created, or they're calling them collections. My common word that I'm used to using is category, and that's why I keep flipping them. Is I wanted to show up in beginner kits. I wanted to show up on my home page, but I don't want this product to show up in my hive accessories. So this is where I then manually go in and say, okay, this product here can show up in these different collections. And here you have them listed there. And so that way, if they're shopping through the website on the front end, is that that's where they can show up in different places. If I want to feature them on my homepage, I can, those type of things there. Let's see. And then another thing to think about is tags. So let's just, let me give you an example of a tag. So tools. The Hive tool, the one thing you have to have. Let me see if they used tags in this. Oh, also in here, when you're setting it up, you know, when you're setting up your account, you can have the social media connections and all of that. But what I'm looking for, they don't have it here. A lot of times on some e-commerce sites, what they'll have is they'll have keyword descriptors that also serve as a category organizer. So this may be a tool, this may be a beginner kit, etc. And that's where you can add your tags in here. So it's basically like hashtags, I would say, is you can add those. And so therefore, when they go to this product online, they can also say, oh, wait, this is in the beginner kit. Let me go see what else is in the other beginner kit tags, and it will pull up those products as well. So it's kind of like the way a hashtag is used or on social media, or a Google search term is used on search, etc. You can have multiple images. I think I don't think I mentioned that. You can also have, I think you can do video connection, like if you have a little video feed or something like that. If you have a YouTube channel, you can embed YouTube videos. So let's say it's a product demo. You know, nowadays you see a lot of product where it's animated. So if you have a YouTube channel where you have your actual video, you can embed the video URL to here and be able to have that there as well. So again, there's a lot of things that you can do in the setting up of your products. Gift cards as well. You know, if you want to be able to offer gift card sales, et cetera, discount digital gift cards, those are, you know, wonderful ways, especially when you're starting out, to attract people to your business, et cetera, and things like that. So let's go back, as I think we got about 15 minutes left. One of the things, I want to show. So when we were talking about when you're building the website, getting stock images, you know, that's where you're actually going to find free stock images. The three I like to use a lot is Pexels.com, Pixabay.com, and Unsplash.com. They're free stock, they're free, royalty-free stock images. So when you're building out your, and that's not necessarily for your products or anything, but when you're building out like your homepage, et cetera, that's where I like to go to, you know, get free stock images. One thing I can tell you is please do not save any images from Google and use them on your website. That if you're not sure that it is copyright, there have been many times that I've been hit with a letter of a fine because I took an image off of Google that I did not realize was a Shutterstock image, and I ended up writing a check for $800 for copyright infringement. So do not use Google Images. Either use your pictures, royalty-free pictures, or pictures of your products from your distributors that you know are okay to use. And another thing that I like to recommend is if you're new to the e-commerce, world or building that, go look at other sites. Use like the data that I did. If I'm a beginner beekeeper and I'm starting to do this, obviously I'm not trying to compete with all their inventory, but I can go research how other people are doing it, how other competitors are doing it, how they're doing their layout, etc., and just kind of get some inspiration on that. Because if you come in here and you start with a blank slate, never having done this, it's overwhelming. I mean, trust me, I know it is. And so, that's one way to help understand and navigate gathering your content together, collecting your pictures in a folder. There's a lot of pre-work that you would want to do prior to trying to sit down and build a website. You want to collect your inventory, whether you're going to do individual product entry or a spreadsheet. You want to find, your overall theme layout. What do you want your website to look like? What are those images that you want to look like? Let's go back here to the themes.
For the stock image websites you shared, could you share those again, or will those be in the slide deck that you send out?
They'll be in the slide deck. Yep, I'll be sending those over to you with the slides as well. So again, let's go back to this here. So again, now we're going to go back more. Now that we've spent more time on the back end, which I think was a little bit more necessary, let's come back to in the time we have remaining outside of any questions. Let's look at some of the ways to organize your information. So this is the welcome. So let's say there was a title that you wanted. There was a section here. So this would be, can I just click this and edit it? Nope. There we go, featured collection 1. Let's see. Let me go back here. Go here. This is where you add this. And then let's go to featured. Okay, so your featured collection, that falls right under here. And so what you want to be able to do, this is, in other words, if I compare it to their homepage, a lot of times you'll see that. So let's see. There we go. So this is featured collections. They have 3. They decided in their industry, the most popular things that people want are either beginning kits, 10 frame equipment, or beekeeper clothing. So that's what this is. Except they've chosen 4. And so what you would do is you'd go in and you'd select collection that you created. So that's your beginner kits here, select. And then the next one would be your next collection. Let's see, hive accessories. I don't think I built a picture for that. But now I'm actually building, you see how I'm building my different, my featured areas, the 3 things that are 3 or 4 things that I know everybody wants to go to when it relates to my product. And then let's say if I don't need this one, I can actually remove that section. So then I can have, let's go one more collection. Let's say I only want 2. It's just, I want to just have 2 featured. All right. So then I have the two featured sections. And I think once you're live that these will line up. It's just that I'm not live. I have got this toolbar here. All right. So then I have another section here. Let's say on this one that I wanted this to maybe about us. And so I could have a picture of, my team. I could edit some text about the company. And if I do have an about us page, I can do this. So read more. And then here we go. This is great. So then I go to my pages, click it to the about us. There we go. This is going to bring me to my about us page. I'm going to have a picture here. And just keep remembering to click save as you go through this. Let's see what else we got. They have another featured collection, which I think is a little bit too much. I would probably just delete this entire selection. There. Let's see. I could even add more if I wanted to. I can remove this section completely. I can add sections. This is where, do I want a featured collection section, etc. And here's maybe an area that you want to feature one product. So maybe there's one particular product that you want to feature at this given time. And so that's where you would do that. The footer of a website, we're familiar with footers of a business. So this could be where you want to, maybe you actually want to put our location. And then this is where you could put your street address. Okay. This may be, what else could we put here? If you get into newsletter signups, so if you have like a MailChimp or a Constant Contact, that's where you can connect those. That's also in here too. So as you can see, you're slowly but surely kind of building out your interior pages and your footer pages of the website here. Let's go back to, go back to our, there we go. I was looking for the save. There we go. So let's hit the save button. Let's go back. I always like going back to my dashboard and kind of, checking things out there. And again, I touched on the blog when we first started. That's an extremely successful way to market your business, but don't get wrapped up into that until after maybe you get the site up and running, and then be able to go ahead and add blog entries. And then, as you write those articles, you can share them on social media, you can share them through your email newsletter, etc. So in the few minutes we have left, any other questions that I can answer that y'all may have? And I'm going to reference, while we're waiting for some of those to come up, I do want to emphasize the LED landing page is, how to add products, how to choose a payment, etc. There's a lot of tools there. And as you saw here, I even used it a few times myself, is how to get started. And obviously, let's see what they have here.
Could you talk a little bit too about the overall benefits of the partnership with LED? Is it mainly the technical assistance?
I believe what they did was, from what I understand, the regular pricing may be a little less than if I just went to Shopify. Don't quote me on that. But I do know that they were trying to push this through. There had to be some benefit to it for them to partner with Louisiana Economic Development. But I think it was the use of the portal and things like that, and having LED promote it internally. So this is another one here. So look how, as we've added products, customized theme, it let me know that I didn't talk about delivery. Oh, that's right, because we didn't finish the UPS, local delivery, etc. So yeah, but it's kind of like a little neat dashboard here that kind of lets me know, okay? And then of course, here we go. We gotta launch our site. And so when we want to be able to do that, then let's see, password. I've got a password protected, a disabled password. And here we go with our social media icon. So homepage title, the company. I could add a description here. This is where if I have Facebook, I want to be able to maybe add my Facebook there. Google Analytics. Google Analytics is free. You can go to Google Analytics, search, and then sign up for an account. That's great for web analytics trafficking. That's why I can't publish the page, because I have not chosen my BICA plan yet. So we'll get to that. I mean, you'll be able to do that there. I always encourage to keep from spam on your contact forms, etc. fill that out. So overall, let's see, cancel.
And once you get through explaining this one, could you explain a little bit more? Cheryl was asking about the marketing button and what that does.
Let's look at that and see. So, because here's the setting thing. I kept covering it up. So I kept wondering why I couldn't find the settings. It was right down here because my Zoom thing was covering it. The marketing. Yeah, marketing. We may need, we were actually talking about this. We may want to do our own session on marketing. Just because you build it doesn't mean they come. I mean, we've heard that over and over, and it's true. Easy ways of marketing. Once you get your website up, obviously, number one is to your network that you have now. Email blast saying, hey, look at our new website. Look at, we have this new online website portal. Here's the link to it. Check it out. Number two, social media. You copy and paste your URL once it's live, and you go start promoting that on your Facebook and Instagram, Twitter accounts. They also, it looks like they have a couple different things in here that you can look at for marketing apps. I haven't gotten into that very much. But again, existing customers, letting them know, that you have this online shopping, online availability shopping, but there's a lot of work that goes into the actual marketing of the website. Google search is a monster in itself. And so if you're a brand new, and I'll just say this just out of honesty, if you're building a brand new e-commerce website, you will not be on Google search unless you are the rarest form of business, or unless you are doing like gemstones that no one else owns because of competition. Just because you build a website doesn't mean that Google's going to put you anywhere on their keywords. That's Google AdWords, that's Google paid. So again, just things to think about, because I do get that a lot, is, hey, I built this e-commerce website. I'm not coming up on any of the pages for Google keywords for people looking for my products. And unfortunately, that's the reality of this, is that there's different levels of reason for that. Number one is you're a brand new website, and there are thousands of websites that have been created before you. Number two, there are thousands of websites that have been created for you that have more traffic and more established long-term longevity. There are thousands of websites that have been created for you that have paid Google AdWords and Google organic SEO to get on page 1 and 2. Again, not saying that to dissuade anybody, but just to set realistic expectations of, becoming an overnight success on online sales. Chances are, unless you're just doing something that's never been done before, it takes time. It's no different than if you opened a retail business. You've got to attract customers, you've got to retain customers, you've got to promote to customers, you've got to get them to come into your store. Online, honestly, to me, is even more complicated to do that because there's so many other options, and we're going up against monsters like Amazon and Amazon Prime. Not to say don't do it, but just have realistic expectations about what time frame and money and effort you're going to have to spend in putting this together. Do we have, at that point, everybody leaves. But it is what it is. I mean, I'd much rather be honest with it than dishonest. And because again, I've been there on all ends of this spectrum, and it's just better to know the truth ahead of time. So I think, are we out of time now?
Yeah, we're right at time, and that was our last question. And as you said too, I think we might have another topic for our webinar series, to getting more into detail on marketing.
The downside of e-commerce and why the 1,001 reasons why you shouldn't do it. No, it's a wonderful compliment. It's a wonderful compliment to one's business. Just have realistic expectations. And just in the few minutes of us doing this for the last hour and a half, I added 3 products. Everything else was this other stuff. So again, just build it slow, put some time into it. Realistic expectations, it does pay off in the long run.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to hand it off to Rebecca to close us out.
Thanks. Thank you, Orhan. We really appreciate this presentation this morning. like you said, you may have created more questions than what you may have answered. It is a complicated issue. I do want to let everyone, that's on know that, if you have questions, if you feel like you would like more resources, more information, do reach out to us at One Acadiana. My email is Rebecca, REBECCA, at oneacadiana.org, and would be happy to maybe try to guide you to some of the resources that may be able to help you. And again, if it looks like this whole marketing aspect is another presentation for us to look into, we're happy to do that also. So the video for this presentation, as well as the materials that Orhan went through, will be available within the next 24 hours on our website, oneacadiana.org/webinars. So we thank you again for participating with us. We look forward to seeing you guys sometime in the near future. And everybody take care and be safe.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Everybody take care. And I'm always available. If you have questions, my contact information is on the slide. Feel free to reach out to me. I love talking about this. I've been talking about it for 20 years, and I don't plan on stopping yet. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask any questions. And thank you.
Thank you, Orhan.
Have a good day.